Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulihi. Amma ba'd. I greet our students here. One moment. Okay. I greet our listening students and our listening audience from Facebook with the greeting of peace. Assalamu alaikum. And we're going to continue our talk on fasting and the month of Ramadan. And today we're going to look at the conception of time and making our connection with the month of Ramadan. So we're going to look at a verse today in terms of comments that have been made about Ramadan as it appears in the Qur'an, and as Ramadan is a ritual month and it is a civic or commercial month that we use on the calendar. So let me begin reading the English translation first. And it reads, with Allah's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer. They ask you, and then we have for note 3, and we go to the bottom to get the rest of it. So it will say, number 3 is about the hour. They ask you about the hour. When will it be? When will be its taking place? Say, the knowledge of it is only with my Lord. None but He shall manifest it. And then we have the 4. We go down, look at the number 4. At this time, it will be momentous. So none shall manifest it at its time. It shall be momentous in the heavens and the earth. It will not come on you, but of a sudden. They ask you as if you were solicitous about it. Say, its knowledge is only with Allah, but most people do not know. But most people do not know. Now, let's begin looking at the verse and the key words that's defined in this dictionary by Abu Faris al-Dahdah. So the first word we have in the Arabic, yas'alunaka. So it says yas'alunaka anil ani or anil sa'ati, which is, he translated, they ask you about the hour. They use the term hour here. So yas'alunaka, which I'm not going to do so much grammar now, unless it's necessary. So yas'alunaka is they ask you. So in that sense, those of you who are students, most of you are advanced students, and you should be able to pick up on the grammar as I read it, because I'm going to try to read it as literally as I can according to the grammatical rules. Those of you who do not know Arabic, I'm hoping that you will still benefit from the presentation. But if you just studying Arabic, if you keep coming, you'll get used to hearing and seeing Arabic, and this will help you get better in your studies. And then I encourage you all to join the Mali Quranic Arabic classes. So they ask you, and this you here is you masculine singular, meaning the first singular person would be Muhammad the Prophet. Praise and peace be upon him. So that's the you. So I have to let you know because it's not the plural you or the dual you. They ask you. So they ask you, he says, is يستخبرون منك. يستخبرون منك is they seek information from you. They're seeking information from you. عن الساعة. الساعة, he has defining يوم القيامة. يوم القيامة. So in English, well, يوم القيامة is the day of, and al-qiyamah is translated as or used as the day of resurrection. Resurrection. And in his translation, he's saying the hour. As-sa'ati is the hour. He's saying it's the hour. But here, this hour, this time, is the day of resurrection. And this is how you will see it in many of the translations and many of the understandings of this idea of as-sa'a. But I am going to switch. We're going to do a little code switching to give another idea about this word that will give another perception about the verse. And this is okay, because reading the Qur'an again can give us new perceptions or different perceptions. Reading it again with a fresh mind in a new place, in a new time, we go to the Qur'an and read it again. Because technology has advanced more in the world, science has developed more in the world. We have a lot of things to aid us now in our reading of the Qur'an and extracting from it. Anytime you begin to have confusion in the society, we should go back to the Qur'an and read it again in order to address the confusion that we find in society, in the social life. The social life does not dictate the perceptions that we get from the Qur'an. Meaning that we don't read our social life into the Qur'an. We shouldn't go to the Qur'an with a preconceived notion about the social life, especially the African American, because it's the African American who's the Muslim who don't have knowledge of Qur'an or Islam well enough, so they will just take what someone tells them and treat it as though it's the law, it's the truth, it's the absolute, and then we try to go and read it into the Qur'an. So, our topic, we'll get to the confusion of our topic later on in other presentations. So now, but as-sa'a is also time. As-sa'a is time. They ask you about the time, but it's not just the time in terms of time, but a sa'a is a timepiece. Even they use this in the social language. They call the watch a sa'a, the timepiece. It's called a sa'a. So they're asking you about the time, about time. And this is the confusion we have now in the month of Ramadan, is time, measuring time. Measuring the time of the month. It should be simple, but there's confusion about time. And this time is this clock. This clock. So I would today say they're asking you about the clock. Now, in the Qur'an, we have more than one perception of time is given. There is the time that's given, like we have the time on the clock. We have the day, we have the night. We have day and night, they alternate. And listen to my good friend Imam Shoaib, who eloquently have dealt somewhat with this subject. He's saying that the word for day, yaum, there's a conception of yaum in that the yaum is a period of the night and the day, those two together would equal a yaum, a day. This is one conception of time. And this is one conception of the time when we're talking about day. So we have that time. The Quran addresses that time. Also, we have another time, conception of time in the Quran, and perhaps this is the time that's being addressed, because we still ask the question about the time, and that time is more or less on Allah's clock. Man has created an instrument that he uses for telling the time. It's called a clock or a calendar. It's used for telling the time. And we use it. And Allah says that that's what it's used for. And we use the moon, the sun, the earth, in its movement to calculate that kind of time. It's based upon the movement of the moon. The days are based upon the moon. The hours in the day is based upon the sun, so forth and so on. So we have this, and maybe they even use the stars to make these watches or these clocks to give time. Then, as man grows in technology and he grows in knowledge, he has what he calls now universal time. Universal time is perhaps based upon a timepiece that has been created that everyone can synchronize themselves into this timepiece. Everyone on earth will synchronize their watches and their clocks to this one clock, and they're made and structured in a way that we all can keep a synchronized time based upon what we call universal time. And we have our time zones that we have also created and used for the whole globe, so forth and so on. That's one conception of time. The other conception of time, we don't know it. We don't know the clock. We don't know Allah's clock. This momentous, as he's saying here. Okay, let's read on. So I'm introducing this idea of as-sa'a because this is the idea I want you to keep in mind in order to follow what I'm saying and what we're talking about. Ayana mursaha. It says, when mursaha. Mursaha. Let's look at mursaha. Mursaha is waqtuha wa mustaqirruha. So mursaha is waqtuha. Waqtun is another word for time. But this waqtun is time, but it's an established time. like we have with the clock and the watches. It's an established time, an established, calculated time that repeats itself every day, every month, every year. These are calculated timepieces that have been made. This is waqtu. This is time in terms of an established time. So we can see mutasab. We see the word rasad. Rasad is the word that we use for mountains. The mountains come from mountains. So we can, this idea of this, when we're trying to conceptualize time, it can be momentous, like a mountain, but it's established. It's established like a mountain also. So it's established. It's established time, but mustaqirrun is the word for established, to be established, settled and established, well established. Munasahab, when is its establishment? This aside. So they can't be asking about time in terms of today, tomorrow, next week. It's not that kind of sa'a. And even if we take the idea of it being Yawmul Qiyamah, Yawmul Qiyamah is the hour when everything will be wrapped up. Everything created will be wrapped up. That's the day. That's the last day. This is it. This is it. With the earth and the heavens have been in existence for a time period we can't even calculate. But when some of us have the idea that when is this all of this going to come to an end? But even to know that hour, or have knowledge of that hour, and to give it to someone in an informative way, you would have to know the clock. If you're going to say what it is, you have to know the clock. You can't use man's clock, because man's clock is not structured to calculate that kind of time. Because there are other verses I'm going to show in the Qur'an that you could see by using the Qur'an, build the Qur'an, how and why this question would come up about time. Yes. So, waqtuha, its establishment. Ilmuha, he said, in kul, say, innama ilmuha inda rabbi. And the literally, surely, or only. Innama, this is a restriction. This here is a restriction with emphasis. Because inna is a particle of emphasis. And ma is a particle of restriction. So when you have inna ma, you're reading a combination of restriction and you're watching restriction and let me see. Someone has a video on here. No, we don't need that. Okay. If you're clicking on the video, you shouldn't click on the video. You shouldn't click on the video. You have to click off the video, or I'm going to click you out. And I click on the video. Okay. So we're saying only ilmuha, its knowledge is only inda Rabbi, with my Lord. And ilmuha, he's given the idea of ilmuha is ma''iduha. Ma''iduha meaning its promise. It's, we could say, its promise. Or in connection with what he's speaking of, is time of appointment. It's time of appointment. But let me go on before I make the comment in context in how I'm reading it. He says, La yujaliha liwaqtiha illa huwa faqulat fi as-samawati wal ardi. La yujaliha. Yujaliha is yadhiruha. Yadharuha or yadhiruha. Or yudhiruha. We can even say yudhiruha, put it in form 4. Because we're saying yujaliha or yudhahiruha. If it's a form to verb, we don't have the mark here. But he's saying that he will manifest it. He will reveal it, manifest it. Yujaliha. He will manifest it. So it's saying that this timepiece, and I'm referring to it as Allah's timepiece, that Allah will reveal it to us when He wants to reveal it to us. He will show us when He wants to show us. لِوَقْتِهَا إِلَّا هُوَ لِوَقْتُهَا. Now he's saying here, so we run into two conceptual ideas here. I'm giving you the one he's giving, and I'm giving you the one that I'm giving. Liwatuha is to its time. Allah will manifest its time. Waqtiha, which is Yawmil Ba'athi, the day of resurrection now, Ba'athi. He used Yawmul Qiyamah as the day of resurrection, and here's Yawmul Ba'athi, the day that it's a similar idea of the day of resurrection. But, and I'm not going to get into the symbolic speech of either one right now, but this idea, notice how now, Qur'an bil Qur'an, how the term waqtun is used in the verse with the term asa. Because waqtun is helping us define the idea of sa. And waqtun is a time, is an established time. The time that we know in terms of it being established. We know its time. We know it. But sa'a is the timepiece. Now, it's a timepiece. So, see the difference? It's the thing that's keeping the time. And waqtun is the time on the piece, that's on the piece, but sa'a is the timepiece. So, they're asking about the timepiece. But it will be, Allah will show you within the time. Within a time, He will show you. Because He's saying here, Allah will reveal it. Now, I was talking with an astronomer, and we were talking about this subject of Ramadan and fasting and the sighting of the crescent. In fact, it was Khalid Shawkat. Khalid Shawkat is the astronomer who has the curve on the website moonsighting.com. Now, let me say, if you go to this site moonsighting.com, Khalid Shawkat is the astronomer who has the curves, and he has the people around the world every month who witnesses the new crescent. That's what the curve is. And we're going to look at the curve, inshallah, in the future. So he's the astronomer, and I was having a conversation with him. He came and visited Detroit. I got a chance to meet him. And in meeting him, some people invited me. They say, Salim, we know you've been looking at this situation for a long time. We're going to have a meeting on it, and we would like for you to meet Khalid Shawkat. And maybe you can have a conversation with me. So they arranged it for me, which was good. So we sit down, and we had a conversation, which I was honored to have. I'm nowhere near an astronomer, but they know me for, I've been looking at this for some time now. And each year I find more and more from the Qur'an to present an argument that we should put on the table as a shura to take a look at. But right now, I'm not invited to the shura to take a look at it. Even though the ones who invited me, they respect me enough to invite me to this meeting. So in talking with him, and this is a one-on-one, they arranged the meeting so it would be just me and him. So that tells me, okay, they think enough of me to arrange a meeting with us, an astronomer, one-on-one for about a good 45 minutes to an hour. And he was interested in meeting and a conversation and all, not that I'm an astronomer, just my curiosity. But he was saying to me that as astronomers, they have been looking for a repeated time where the whole year will repeat itself, like we have in the day and the night, 24 hours. The clock repeats itself. The time will repeat itself. You stand right here, you stand here long enough, and you watch the sun go by, and the sun will come back. And within 24 hours, it'll come right back here where you stand. Just like hunting a rabbit. You stand here, that's where the dog jumped the rabbit. Just stand here. The rabbit will be back. He'll be back. He'll be back. When he comes back, you have to learn how to hit the rabbit and not the dog. But it'll come back. The sun's going to come back in 24-hour period. That means it has repeated itself. And it keeps repeating. When it does that 7 times, we call it a week. Then it does it 30 times, we call it a month. So forth and so on. And then so many months, we call it a year. This time cycle is in the Qur'an, as well as the time cycle it speaks about Allah's clock. But Allah has not revealed his clock in the Qur'an. He's saying here that he will reveal it. He will reveal it when he pleases, when he wants to reveal it. But he will reveal it. So they're looking for this time, getting back to the story, of when we're looking at the moon, the sun, the earth, as they rotate and revolve, so forth, they're moving. Everything is moving. The sun is moving. Nothing is standing still. The sun is moving. Then the earth, it moves as it revolves around the sun, and it's spinning as it moves around the sun. Then we have the moon. It doesn't spin, but it revolves around the earth without spinning. There's no spin, just one spin. One revolution is one spin at the same time, within that time. Okay. So when we're calculating the months on this movement, the months end up being calculated on our clock. We can calculate this movement on our clock, and it will equal to approximately 29 or 30 days. Now, so every month of the year, and you can do this yourself if you pay attention to the crescent. The crescent does not appear every month. The first person to see the crescent is not in the same spot every month. Meaning today, someone in the east, let's say, can see the crescent first. Next month, someone in the West can see the crescent, like in America, could see the crescent first, or South America. Somewhere, if we talk more according to the equator, South America. And then the next month, someone else can see it. Next month, someone else can see it. Okay, if you follow that pattern, of how this crescent appears, if we just deal with the crescent, and each month having 29 or 30 days, and follow that pattern this year, he's saying they're trying to find, by using a computer, they can go back in time and they can go forward in time. In fact, I can go back in time and I can see in Saudi Arabia during the time of the life of Prophet Muhammad what day was the crescent. What day he could see the crescent and one day he couldn't see the crescent. In fact, I did it one day. To know which day he saw the crescent, when it was possible. And they can go forward in time with the computer. So they have built, technology has come to where they have built the computer, the technology to calculate the time forward by the movement of the sun, the earth, and the moon forward, and they can go backwards. But this is what he told me. And they're looking for the time when everything repeats itself. When we come back to this year, and every month will start the same way. This year will start, and then the next year will be after that, and then they can predict the time from then on because they have found the clock. But he was telling me, he said, they can't find it. They can't find when everything will repeat itself. And then you have the same process. All over again, they have gone as far as they can backwards in time, and they go as far as they can forward in time, and they can't find it. Now, this is what alarmed him in the conversation, even though I'm not an astronomer. I said to him, you're looking for the star. You should have seen his eyes. Because he knows, they know what sa'ah means. They know what sa'ah means, but in the Qur'an, they have you thinking about the ends of time, like he has here. But I'm talking to an astronomer now. He has given me the picture of the sa'ah that they're looking for. So I said to him, I give this to him from this verse. I say, you are looking for the sa'ah. You're looking for Allah's clock, Allah's timepiece. And you've gone so far back in time, so far forward, and Allah still has not shown you his clock, his sa'ah. Oh, man, should have seen the smile on his face and the look on his face. An astronomer lit up because he knows the Qur'an. He knows the Qur'an well enough for me to talk to him through the Qur'an. See, this is what we have to learn to do when we're meeting with other Muslims. I can't talk to him as an astronomer, but I can talk to him as an astronomer on this subject only through the Qur'an. So I'm saying to him, yes, that's Allah's timepiece you're looking for. And you can't find it. Because Allah hasn't shown it to you. But it's men like you. I'm saying to him, it's men like you that one day Allah will show you. Keep looking. Allah wants you to look. Allah wants you to look. Allah wants you to be curious. And keep going, and Allah will show you. You don't stop looking. This Quran. This is the Quran, right? This is how the Quran introduces us to science. The Quran is the foundation. You can't read the Quran and become an astronomer. No. It doesn't have the details of astronomy. So you don't read the Quran and then I'm an astronomer. No. I haven't observed the skies and the movements and all like he has. But I'm just talking as a person who's curious in religion, not in science. But my curiosity in religion and rituals will lead me to the science. But I'm not a scientist in that sense. Yes. So that probably would encourage him to keep looking. Keep looking. Allah will show you. But look what it's saying. Faqulat fi as-samawati wal ard. It is heavy. Faqulat. It is faqulat is she. We say she. She. Except so Allah says la yujalliha liwaqtiha illa huwa. No one can reveal it to manifest its permanency. Its permanency meaning waqtiha is permanency meaning that its calculation that you can put it on the timepiece. Waqtiha on the side. You can put the waqtun on the side. Except Allah. Faqulat fi as-samawati wal ard. It's very heavy. He said momentous. It's heavy in the heavens and the earth. So for years now, you start back during the time of the great scholar, the great astronomer in the history of astronomy, like Biruni. Biruni is his name. So since the time of Biruni, way back, maybe 10th century or prior, you have this person that's studying the skies then. And we come all the way forward with the advancement of mankind in technology and knowledge, and he's studying now and he still can't find it. What makes them want to look? The Qur'an has encouraged them to look. In the process, yes, we have made watches and clocks and universal time and time zones. We've done all of that for our use, for our usage commercially, civically, socially, what have you. But the project isn't over. So it's tacolat. It's heavy. It's heavy in the heavens and the earth. So he defines the heavens and the earth as al-kawakibi wal-alami al-alawiyi, meaning it is the stars and the heavenly world, is as-samawat. So we're looking at the stars and all of that we call the heavenly world, as well as the earth. All of this is taking place, and we're looking at their movements, their synchronized movements, the planets, everything, all of it in terms of calculating as-sa'a. So that tells you how momentous it is that we have to grow and grow in our knowledge just because someone has read the Qur'an, has become curious of this major clock, the clock, as-sa'a, the clock of all clocks. Now, as I'm talking, some of this don't interest you all. You're not interested enough. It may not make you curious or whatever. And all you want to know is when do the fast start? When do the fast end? And I'm not going to eat or drink and have sex during the day, and then I'm going to break my fast, and we're going to have to eat and party and all that. That's all you want. That's all. You have those kind of people. Most of the people are like that. The majority don't know, and they're not curious. So this kind of conversation may not interest many people. But when we're talking about being religious leaders, and determining the beginning and the end of Ramadan for the social life of the people, we should have this kind of conversation, especially when there's confusion in the social life. We have to come back to the Qur'an. Let's look at this again. Meaning, after all these years, we're either still confused or confused. Let's look again. But this time, let's look as religious leaders and have a religious conversation, not as scientists trying to have a scientific conversation. But our religious conversation is going to lead us to science, like it led me to have the conversation with the science. Okay. So I get that if I'm talking and you're not interested. I get it. At the same time, this is, I'm going to call it a religious, philosophical conversation we're having all the way through without me telling you what to do. I'm just sharing with you my aroused curiosity of this problem. But in the end, I can suggest to you, but I'm not here to tell you what to do, and I'm not here to follow up what you do. And I'm not here to argue with you unless you have studied. So there's no need to tell me what they say. I've looked at what they say. And I've looked at what Imam W. Muhammad said, and now I have something to say. I'm going to say something. That was the formula that he gave me. Throughout this whole process, I'm going to present. Okay. So it's momentous. لا تأتيكم إلا بغتة. That it will not come to you إلا بغتة. And بغتة, he said, I'm going to skip this, just means come to you, come to you. بغتة, he said, فجأة, 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 or فجأة, meaning of a sudden. It will come to you all of a sudden. So how is this fitting in with the context? One context is fitting in that this hour will come to you all of a sudden, the last day. The day when the earth and everything will be destroyed, it'll come to its end, and everything comes to its end, and then you'll have the grand resurrection. Then it will come to you. It'll come to you like all of a sudden. The time. We're talking about time. It'll come to you in a sudden. As though when we are revived in a resurrection, as though it was just one day. But no, it's been eons. You know, we have to think of these words when we can't calculate. We don't have the timepiece to calculate. We just give it another word to show you how it's just so long. We say eons. It's been eons. But that's the one idea. It just comes all of a sudden. The other idea is if we have someone like Khalid Shawkat, who's an astronomer, and he put his mind to it. He spent his whole life in studying the movement of the planets and the stars and things. That's what the astronomer does. It will come to him. It will come to him all of a sudden. Like it comes to other scientists all of a sudden. Sometimes Allah show you, but He don't always show you that you're looking for right away. We know that we have other discoveries have been made by scientists when they may have been looking for something else, and Allah showed them something all of a sudden. All of a sudden, the man was doing an experiment. He wasn't looking for penicillin, but all of a sudden, we have penicillin. And penicillin has been very useful for mankind. But he wasn't looking for penicillin. But it came to him. Allah bring it to him all of a sudden. So Allah saying here, it'll come to you. It'll come to you. It would only come to you in a sudden. Because we're using la and illa. It will not come to you except that time. Except in a sudden. You're not going to walk up and get it. You're just not going to go and tap on your computer and get it, like Khalid Shawkat is trying to do. You're just not going to go, let me see Allah's clock. I'm just going to go in 2 times 1,000 plus this equals Allah's clock. No. Allah is saying, no. It would have come in a sudden. But based upon your curiosity and your drive to want to know, because Allah said it in the Qur'an, Allah will give it to you. But you sitting around, not caring, you read the Qur'an, it doesn't do anything to you. The question becomes, why should Allah give it to you? Oh, I got the answer. Can't even read the Qur'an. Oh, I got the answer. And you tell me what somebody else told you on the street, and then you want to come and argue. You don't even have the curiosity, but you have the answer. And because you got the answer, you want to be over everybody. That's not how it works. We can't make progress like that. And that's not how men make progress. That's not how people make progress. Men and women. That's not how you make progress. So it takes someone to look. Keep looking and keep looking. يسألونك كأنك حفي. This is the beauty part. They are asking you as if you hafiyu. If you are hafiyu. What's hafiyu? He says hafiyu is مبالغ or مبالغ في السؤال عن الساعة. They're asking you, Muhammad the Prophet. See, this is revelation coming to Muhammad the Prophet. This is revelation. The Qur'an is revelation coming to him. And he's a prophet, meaning that he could stand in the place that he's in and speak to something that's far beyond his physical life. That's a prophet. That's having a prophetic nature, a prophetic spirit, and Allah is revealing to him as a messenger of Allah to even speak to his prophecy, him being a prophet. So, but they're asking him as though this word mubaligun or mabalagun, whichever it is saying here that in the questioning about the clock. I'm switching it to my conversation because of the time. About the clock. They're asking you as though you are, when this revelation comes, right? And the revelation of the Qur'an comes, we have these things in the Qur'an which we're going to go over about the time. They're asking you as though you are soliciting their question as though you have the answer. But, where, yes, يستلزم ذلك معرفته بها. But that requires that, or his knowledge, his knowing requires that in it. Meaning that he has to be like Khalid Shawkat. When we say my bad, he has to be exaggerating. He has to be exerting himself. That the answer will come to him. And they're talking to him as though he's involved. I'm trying to explain what he's saying there. That he's so involved in it that he can give them the answer with ease. They're asking Muhammad the Prophet. But he can't give them the answer with ease. They're looking at the skies and things. They're looking at it. But he can't. But the way he's talking and giving revelation, they would think he knows. But he doesn't know. That he has inquired. That he has inquired about it, but it requires that he gives his attention to it, like the astronomer gives his attention to it in order to know. But he doesn't know. So it's saying, Qul, innama ilmuha indallahi. That surely its knowledge is with Allah. Its knowledge is with Allah, but Inda give us the idea that though it's with Allah, that Allah can give it to you. But it's with Allah. This clock, that's why I'm calling it Allah's clock, because it's with Allah. This timepiece is with Allah that we're looking at. But most of mankind do not know. And they're not even curious and don't want to know. That's the first part. Now, if we go to the Tafsir Jalalain, yes. Going over the same part. I know our time is almost on us. Yes, Alunaka, he's saying here, I Ahlul Mecca. That is, let's just say, the people of Mecca. It's the people of Mecca that's asking you. Yes, Alunaka, they're asking you. And it's about, I'm going to keep it in the context now in which I'm speaking. About the timepiece. This timepiece. This grand timepiece. They're asking. And he said, he also says Al-Qiyamah. So they're all translating this as Al-Qiyamah, as the resurrection. When is the resurrection going to come? When is it coming? What time is it going to come? When is it coming? Is it going to be in December? Is it going to be the Jum'ah day? Some people ask them, when is the resurrection? They say, oh, it's going to be Jum'ah 2030, on Jum'ah day. Yeah, religious people will do this. Well, the end of the world is going to be in the year 20,000, but Allah has extended it until 2025. In religion, they're asking the same question. They're being asked, well, if I'm going to be punished, when is this punishment coming? When is this day of resurrection you're talking about? That's what they're asking. That's for the spooky religious person. But for the religious person who begins to look at the Qur'an and studying it as a science and not as a spooky religious person, the Qur'an will be read differently. It'll open up the doors again for us to bring about creations as man, to bring about things that perhaps the world has never seen before. In science. And that's how I'm advocating that the Qur'an should be taught and read as a science. Revelation should be studied as a science, not as a religion in the sense we've been given religion, because today science has grown so much in science that most people don't even believe in religion, because we're still trying to tell them that Jesus walked on water and he didn't sink, that he defied gravity and everything else, and he didn't sink because he was that great. And we still want people to believe that. We want people to believe that Moses took a stick, struck the sea, and the waters parted, and he walked across because Allah can do everything. That's what we have today. We've had too long in religion. And the mind, the high school, public school, inner city, graduating youth, 12th grade, public city mind is too advanced for that. It's too advanced for that. So they walk away from it. So now in our schools, we have this problem in the society. It's the way we're presenting religion. You want to know why young people are not in the masses? It's the way that you're presenting religion to them. Their minds are too advanced to accept the kind of teachings that you're giving them, especially when it's not even interpreted. When it's, first of all, you're not even reading the Qur'an to interpret it into the life. You're taking hadith literally and trying to interpret it into the life, and it doesn't fit. And that you're giving them as religion, it doesn't help advance them in their life. So they walk away from it. In essence, they're smarter than, their minds are too advanced, too smarter than what you're giving them and calling it religion. You can call it Christianity or Islam. So we have to change. We have to learn how to go back and read the Qur'an again with a fresh mind, without carrying the baggage that other people have dumped on you and call it religion. Read it with a fresh mind. And then look and see what they say. Look and see what the great reformer has said, and then we will have something to say in presenting this religion. Yes. And know the difference. And know the difference between science and revelation, in how we use science in the social life. And maybe, perhaps there was the idea of separating church and state, that we hold on to. We separate them so that we can hold on to the rituals, we can hold on to the reading, we can hold on to the metaphors, because they hold vast bodies of knowledge in them. The ritual holds vast knowledge in it. Then we take this vast idea of this clock that we can't even express, and we put it in ritual form. Something small that we have read before in the tafsir. What they said it's something that is made small. We put it in something small, a small container. But in this small container is vast knowledge. So we keep that in religion. We keep the rituals intact that Muhammad the Prophet has established. We keep the metaphor that Allah has established. We don't translate the metaphor and then lose the metaphor in the translation. No, we want to keep the metaphor. We want to go back. That's why we have to read the Qur'an in Arabic. Let's go back and look at this again. Look at these words again. Look and see what it's saying again. We have to keep that separate from the social life, because the social life fluctuates. It changes fast. So where's the constant? We have to have a constant to the social life. It's preserved in the scripture and the rituals that have been established by Muhammad the Prophet. That's the constant. That's the excuse me, that's what remains. It remains regardless of the social change. So when we have social change, we have social chaos, we have social confusion, we go back to the Qur'an and read it again for a new place and a new time, without violating the integrity of the Qur'an. So this is the idea that I want to present to you without going through the tafsir, because this tafsir is going to give us similar to what I've already said, what we've already discussed because of the time. So what's the point? The point is this month. We're going to look at this month in terms of its time, the time. And then my argument is that this month is a ritual month. It's not a calendar month. It's not a month that we put on a calendar. How are we going to know the difference? That's the question. I'm not going to do it now. We'll do it later. How do you know the difference between Ramadan as a ritual month, a religious month, and Ramadan as a social, political, civic, commercial month? Though it was extracted from the Qur'an, and the ritual is extracted from the Qur'an. How do we know the difference, or are they the same? And in doing so, how do we keep the constant without it changing? And the constant remains for all times. So I'm going to leave it there on that note. The tafsir goes over some things that we've already said, and the Arabic is really for the students. So I don't have to go over this again. maybe this will be an assignment in the class for you to read it. But we're going to end on this note, and I thank you all for coming. And what I will do is I will open the line. First, I will open the line for the students if you have a question. If you have a question based upon what has been said, in order of you understanding what has been said, then I will go and look online on the, I will look on the Facebook and see if someone has written a question. I will do it that way. So I'm going to So if anyone has a question, you can press *6 on your phone. *6 to ask the question. And maybe next week I'll put the information up on Facebook for those who have been following on Facebook, that if you want to get it, if you want to get the phone number, that you can watch the screen on Facebook and you can be on the phone, that you can press *6 and ask a question while on the phone and on Facebook. We could do it that way. So just press *6 on your phone if you have a question. And I see no one that has a question. Okay, I see no one who has a question. Let me go and check on the Facebook to see if there is a question there. And I have greeted all of you all in the beginning with the greeting, Assalamu alaikum. And I don't see anyone, from what I can see, with a question here. Okay, so we will end our presentation at this time. Peace be upon all of you. Assalamu alaikum.